The instant she spoke, a chill shot through me, sharper than anything I'd felt in years. "You don't need to know what happens on a girl's trip," she said, her voice casual, almost teasing. But there was something beneath her smile I couldn't name, a flicker of unease. Suddenly, a weight pressed on my chest. I had trusted her with everything. My mornings, my nights, my laughter, my fears. And now, in a single sentence, that trust felt fragile, like thin glass on the verge of shattering. We sat in our favorite cafe, the one where countless late-night conversations and small, seemingly ordinary joys had once felt monumental. I tried to laugh along, to shake it off, but unease knotted my stomach. There was something in the way she looked away, a brief hesitation before she spoke, that told me this wasn't playful secrecy. Something had shifted quietly, almost imperceptibly, until now. I remembered how it had begun months ago, subtle cracks appearing in moments I had overlooked. Small lies, evasions, excuses that didn't quite fit. Texts arriving late at night with rehearsed explanations. At first, I ignored them, telling myself my mind was overthinking. But my instincts, quiet and insistent, whispered warnings I couldn't ignore. Yet I clung to the version of us that had been real, tangible, the one built on honesty. Now, that foundation wavered, and I realized I was standing on the edge of something I had never anticipated, the moment when the person I trusted most became unknowable. After that day at the cafe, everything felt different. Even the simplest interactions carried weight. I noticed her laugh with friends, the way her eyes sometimes flickered elsewhere, a hesitation I had learned to recognize. It wasn't dramatic at first, just a subtle shift, a quiet reminder that things were no longer as they seemed. That night, I replayed her words over and over in my mind. "You don't need to know." I whispered it to myself in the dark, testing the sound, tried to convince myself it was harmless. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal overnight. It lingers, a shadow in every memory, tainting even the happiest moments. I began noticing details I'd ignored before. The way her phone buzzed too often, hushed conversations with people whose names I didn't know, a sudden interest in places she had never cared about. Part of me wanted to confront her, demand the truth. But another part hesitated, rooted in fear. The fear of what I might discover. The fear of shattering the fragile illusion I still clung to. Sleep became restless, pierced by dreams where laughter turned to mockery, where I was always a step behind, chasing a version of her that no longer existed. The realization came gradually but brutally. The person I thought I knew, the one I had shared my life with, had begun changing in ways I could neither predict nor control. And in that creeping understanding, a new emotion surfaced. The ache of betrayal, subtle at first, then undeniable, echoing in every quiet moment of my days. The breaking point came on a quiet evening, one where the world seemed to hold its breath. She mentioned the trip again, shrugging carelessly, as if secrecy was natural, expected. My chest tightened. I could no longer pretend ignorance. I needed clarity, though I dreaded confrontation. Gently, almost hesitantly, I asked what she meant by keeping me in the dark. She smiled, a flicker of amusement in her eyes, and said, "It's just a girl's trip. You wouldn't understand." The words, simple as they were, pressed down on me, exposing the fragile foundation I had built my trust upon. The casual dismissal made it worse. I was now an outsider in a life I had once thought shared. For days, I wrestled with the emotions swirling inside. Hurt, confusion, longing, a quiet burn of jealousy. I replayed every moment, every gesture that had seemed innocuous, now seeing the subtle hints I had ignored. The betrayal wasn't loud, violent, or overt. It was quiet, creeping, like a shadow growing while you sleep. And in that quiet, it became all-encompassing. Eventually, I understood that some truths can't be denied, and some bonds, no matter how cherished, cannot survive deceit. I withdrew, not with anger, but with sorrow, letting the space between us expand until the tension became a chasm. I needed to reclaim myself, to protect the version of me that still mattered. As I stepped back, letting her world unfold without me, a painful clarity settled in. Trust once broken changes everything. I had loved fully. In return, I had learned quiet, haunting lessons of betrayal. Lessons that would shape every choice I made from that moment forward.